You have to really know the problem you're solving for the customer and why it's a problem.
That's Maddie Neustadt, CEO of V4 Final.
I am Maddie Neustadt, and I am the founder and CEO of V4 Final. And we are a legal services management platform. Fancy way, your next question is, what on earth is that, right? A lot of folks in the startup world work in technology. Have you ever submitted an IT ticket through like ServiceNow? Imagine ServiceNow, but for legal requests. Like, I need a lawyer to answer this question, or I need legal advice on something. So you're going to go start a legal ticket. Now, unlike ServiceNow, time to closure is not the main thing we're looking at. It's not how fast can you get bad advice. It's about getting the right advice for your client. And in my case, we support, we're B2B. We sell to companies, not to law firms. So we're making a legal services management platform for companies that have so much legal work that they can't necessarily do it all and all at once with the limited resources and budget they have. So we have a proprietary way of onboarding where we figure out what the corporate priorities are, not just within a single silo in the company, but across silos. So not only how do you prioritize patent work inside the patent silo, but how do you figure out the patent versus the trademark versus the contract versus the procurement versus the HR versus the securities? Where does that all fall in your corporate priorities? And how do you make sure your limited resources are working on the right things first?
What inspired you initially to work on this? What was the final straw where you were like, I have to fix this problem?
I'm a lawyer by background and an engineer. I spent 10 years in engineering doing supply chain quality and efficiency at Intel and semiconductors. Went to law school at night. Ended up going in-house, working for various tech companies because I have this background in technology. Started as an intellectual property lawyer at Stoll Reeds in Portland. And I think the last straw was I was tasked with building a process to automate requests for privacy review. So post-GDPR, all of a sudden, every product that this tech company made, major Fortune 500 tech company made, had to go through privacy review. And it was all just being done by email. Somebody emailed me as the head of privacy, I need privacy review on X. And I'm trying to shuffle it off to privacy compliance specialist, engineer, oh my God. And said, well, to build something to automate it. Great. I researched the tools available online. Company didn't want to pay for those. No, we have this no-code solution. Just go build a workflow. We built a workflow for contract approval on it. Surely you can do it for privacy. And God help me, I did. I built a no-code solution. Well, I should say I tried to build, and then I spent $500,000 with a consultant company to build it for me on the platform that was given to me that we were already paying a lot of money for. And I got prizes for it. I got a nationwide prize for Innovator of the Year from ALM for in-house legal. And I was I wanted to be oh, good job. And all I could think of really was, that's how low the bar is for Innovator of the Year? This thing's terrible. Because post-build-out, post-award, a new case came out of the European Union called Schrems II. And Schrems II changed how you had to evaluate privacy. So the workflow I built is still mostly useful, but I had to insert a whole bunch of stuff in the middle of the workflow. And that's when I found out that this little no-code solution couldn't do that. I couldn't just go revise it and keep everything that was there. I had to build it all from scratch again. Hello, consultants, you know that $500,000? I got another $500,000 I got to spend with you now. And okay, now we built the replacement one. What do you mean I have to manually transfer everything in process? Because if you've worked with lawyers before, you know it's not generally one email over, email response back, done. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in process, in queue. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, that there had to be a better way to do legal services delivery. And then I got involved in venture capital as a limited partner down here in the Ben Venture Conference and the BBC Fund. And I saw what people were building with AI tools and how they were, utilizing this to improve workflows. And I thought, somebody must have built it by now. I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go invest in it. And I couldn't find it. So the, invest in it, sit back and let somebody else make me money didn't work the way it was supposed to. I decided to build it. And that's what made B4 final. And we said, okay, privacy is not the only legal workflow. Contracts aren't the only legal workflow. Let's figure out what we can do. So right now we support like 11 different legal request types. We're building it out. We have a roadmap to up to like 25. As we learn of new ones, I haven't worked in every possible in-house role there is. So, I talk to people. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. We need to put something in there. And it's built at a very basic workflow level, so you don't have to hard code things like approval loops. It's kind of all plug and play, role-based access control. So, imagine you've been working on a major deal with a lawyer for 8 months. And then lawyer's like, oh, sorry, I'm leaving the company. There's no knowledge transfer. You simply unassign that lawyer, reassign a new lawyer, and everything in the deal stays in the deal. Not only in the deal, but in the context of where it was in the deal. So if you have a 30-page master services agreement with 15 attachments that you're working on and you want to know, well, have we addressed the ISO controls? You just find the clause on the ISO controls and you've got the entire conversation right there next to it. So trying to keep that all in place and easy to access for knowledge transfer. And of course, we can feed internal databases on this so that you can get that knowledge management later down the road when you've been using it for a while. And then my background's in privacy and cybersecurity. So the whole thing is built on functions to deploy inside the customer's security boundaries. Little difficult for, early access stuff to make sure it works exactly the way the customers want it. Our customers have to talk to us and give us feedback because we don't have any access to any of it. It's all built to maintain attorney-client privilege, confidentiality, security. My CTO is a cybersecurity executive, so he's really big on secure development lifecycle, moving all the security stuff to the back end so the back end never trusts the front end, making sure all functions like that. Because we know, legal information, legal privileged information, trade secrets, super secret stuff, insider trading type stuff. You just have to control that in a way that you don't have to control, say, a dating app.
Shifting gears just a touch, I always find that startup founders are often the best mentors for other startup founders. You also bring with it this lens of an investor, an LP alongside it. And a lawyer. What's one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's either just beginning their startup journey or maybe is considering making that leap?
Make sure you know your customer and the problem you're solving for them. I see so many founders, especially in the legal tech space, they think they know the problems that lawyers have because they've seen lawyers on TV, or maybe even they worked at a law firm for a year. You don't understand at that level. You really have to know the problem you're solving for your customer on multiple levels. It's not just enough to know, oh yeah, billable hours are a problem. Well, why? Well, just because is it because you can't budget? You can't anticipate? You can't budget how many hours it's going to take to solve a problem, depending on how complex the problem is. Because I've been hearing about the deaths of the billable hours since I started practicing law. It's alive, well, and increasing. And people are paying it. There's people who think that, the biggest problem corporate legal departments have is the amount of money they spend on outside counsel. So all we have to do is disrupt the large law firms. How they choose their counsel has nothing to do with cost. That is the most, cost inelastic thing is who their lawyers are. So you have to really know the problem you're solving for the customer and why it's a problem. Because you got to get to the root cause. You got to ask the 5 whys on the customer problem. And if you can't answer the 5 whys on the customer problem, you might not know it well enough to solve it.
I can still remember in my experience working with startups, we had a mentor who was meeting with a bunch of startups, and one of the founders came over to me later and said, he didn't really say anything. He just kept asking me why. like every time. And I was like, yes, that's good. That's a good way of getting, to the core of what you're trying to be working. Do you even know how to answer those questions? That's important.
Right.
As a founder, especially, in the rapidly changing world of technology in the era of AI, is there a certain resource or touchstone you find yourself coming back to time and time again, either as a source of information or just as a human trying to be a founder, something that's important to you and your life in keeping balance and health?
An app I have on my phone, it's called Insight Timer, and it's a meditation app. And, is it a source of truth for my professional journey in terms of like, what do my customers need? What do my vendors look for? What's my, my business model? No, it is guided meditations and affirmations, because this is hard. It is lonely. It is, and even when you're surrounded by great people, a lot of it in true Oregonian fashion is more passive aggressive support than it is super supportive. It's like, oh yeah, we want to support you, and here's all the ways you're going to fail, but don't worry about that. We're here to support you. So just, 15 minutes of daily affirmations that I can do this. I deserve to be successful, but I'm going to work at it. I know what I'm doing, but don't doubt yourself too much unless you have really good reason to doubt yourself. The amount of self-doubt I have, and then I go to talk to all of these experts, and I'm like, they have not told me anything I don't already know. Maybe I know more than I say.
Don't tell me that.
No, but I mean, don't be wrong. They're experts too. Like I just got off a meeting with an advisor I have through a Silicon Valley mentorship program that I'm so proud to be part of. Mm-hmm. And he's a go-to-market expert, and marketing is an area I know nothing about, like just nothing from a theoretical to a practical point of view. Yeah. And so he's like, well, here's a framework and here's some steps, and I'm going to send you what this looks like, and I want you to build this out. And it's more than a mentor. He's a coach. He's giving me a training program to build this muscle, not just, throwing slogans at me. And I eat that stuff up like crazy. So that's find not just the mentors and the inspirational stories, but find the coaches that will give you a training plan, like you're training for a marathon, not just like you want a poster on the wall. No offense, love your posters.
Maddie, you've been incredibly helpful. I appreciate your insights and advice, and thank you for carving out time. How can we be most helpful to you and your pursuits right now?
Well, I would say, if anybody knows a company that's struggling to manage their legal spend and their legal resources and really want it to focus on what the company needs accomplished, send them my way. As part of that onboarding program, we have this automated onboarding process that involves a personality test for your company. You basically answer questions as paired statements, like you're taking a strengths finders or a values finders personality test. And it's about what actions do you observe in your company, compare the two, what's more likely to occur. And it produces a report of what your top corporate priorities are based on how you're acting. Not what you want your priorities to be, but how you're acting, what you're rewarding, what you're accomplishing. And especially in the Portland startup community, if somebody wants a discount coupon or freebie for that, just reach out to me. I'll give you a coupon. I'd love your feedback. I don't need UI, UX feedback. I need get to the report. Spend the 15, 20 minutes getting a full report done and read it and tell me, is it an accurate representation? I think the best feedback I got so far on one was, it made me sad. And I'm like, sad? And they're like, well, yeah, I mean, I want to be prioritizing all of these things. And it told me I was prioritizing a few of them. And I was like, well, but was it accurate? Is that really what you were prioritizing? And he's like, well, yeah, it's accurate. It's just not how I want to be. And I was like, well, I hate to break it to you, but that's why being a CEO is hard. You have to choose. It's not apples to apples. You have to choose apples or oranges when you only have budget for fruit. So, we use that as part of the automated onboarding so that when legal requests come in, they're prioritized in orders of what your priorities are. But it's also an interesting tool that anyone can use to do a quick evaluation of where their corporate priorities are, or if you want to do it as a team building, is everybody on the same page?
Do you have a startup story to tell? I would love to hear from you.